Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Literary and Debating Association, Department of English, VET Institution of Arts and Science, welcomes you all for the guest lecture on R.L. Stevenson, Treasure Island. I welcome Dr. Saravanan R., our principal, Dr. Shakila Matthew, Dean Academics and Head Department of English, Mr. Lokesh Kumar S., Administrative Officer, faculty member, and my dear student friends. And I also welcome Ms. S. Punita, the resource person of the day. Now I request Ms. Tahira to introduce the resource person.
Good evening, everyone. I'm privileged to welcome Ms. S. Purita, who has been working as an assistant professor of English in PG and Research Department of English, Velala College for Women, Erode. She has completed her BA and MA in Velala College for Women, MPhil in Anna University, Guindy. She has experience in handling the lab classes in the language laboratory. She has been one of the organizing committee member in many fields. She presented more than 50 papers, seminars, and conferences. She acted as a research supervisor for 12 MPhil candidates. She is fond of myth, children literature. She is interested in the field of British literature, Commonwealth literature, Indian literature, creative writing. We are very grateful to have you here, ma'am. Thank you for your presence.
Good evening, one and all. Thank you, Tahira and Monica, for your warm greetings. I'll just go ahead with the current topic. Okay. Yeah, of course. We'll start with the introduction about the author, Robert Louis Stevenson. He was born on November 13, 1850 at Edinburgh, and his parents, Thomas Stevenson, a noted lighthouse builder and a harbor engineer, and he was the one who had invented the marine dynamometer, and his mother, Margaret Isabella Balfour. Regarding his childhood days, he had spent much time in bed because of a mysterious illness. Some people do call it some respiratory ailments, but the reason is not clearly known to us. He was so largely raised by his nanny, Alison Cunningham, who had been fondly called as Canny. And he had composed stories even before he learned to read, because he had been a constant listener of stories, both from his parents, especially from his mom and from his nanny. And he wanted to become an engineer like his forefathers. So he entered the University of Edinburgh in 1867. But in order to pursue his passion, that is writing, he switched from engineering to law during his fourth year of the engineering course. And he turned away from Christianity, and because of which he had much dispute with his parents. He married Fanny Matilda Osborne in 1880. He is fond of traveling. He spent much time in warm destinations to find a cure for his poor health and sickly complications, and because of which he had a wide variety of knowledge about the people, about the places. He saw the world and drew inspiration and new ideas from his travels for his books. Because of the poor health, he went into, of course, he had a tough time in his family, in his personal life. And finally, he got settled at a place named Vailima in the hills of Apia, Samoa, because of the tropical climatic condition that prevailed in that place. And the natives, they called him Tusitala, and it is a term for the Samoan term for teller of tales. And of course, he died of a stroke at home on December 3, 1894. And on his tombstone is carved the lines from his poem, Requiem. Home is the sailor, home from the sea, and the hunter, home from the hill. What is the speciality of this writer? He is a Scottish novelist, essayist, and a poet, popular and highly regarded British writers of the end of the 19th century. He played a significant part in the revival of the novel of romance. And during his collegiate educational time, he had great influence by William Hazlitt, Sir Thomas Browne, Daniel Defoe, Charles Lamb, and Michel de Montaigne. And his contemporary Sir Walter Scott and his followers had been eclipsed by the realism of William Makepeace Thackeray and Anthony Trollope. But according to Stevenson, romance is not concerned with objective truth, but rather with things as they appear to the subjective imagination with the poetry of circumstance. And he avoids the complications of character and morality and dwells on action and adventure. And you can find the variety of genres he had been pursuing during his career as a writer: novels, short stories, plays, essays, travel writing, and poetry. Initially, he started his writing work as a travel writer with the work Travels with a Donkey in the Sevens in 1879, and later on, he published that novel. He came to the genre of novels, and he clicked in his first novel, The Treasure Island, itself as a great novelist. Now, let us get into The Treasure Island. Usually, we all are fond of stories. Hope so. So, each and every story, it has this as the beginning. Once upon a time. This is how many stories begin, including those of men sailing the sea under the dreaded pirate flag, characters made popular by the pen of Robert Louis Stevenson in his novel Treasure Island. And of course, this book, it inaugurates the successful tradition of the pirate theme, where the iconography of the skull on the flag and the hidden treasure map accompanies the classic theme of the Bildungsroman. Okay, we will find what that Bildungsroman is in the later presentation. The struggle between right and wrong. And of course, this is a fantasy journey with a young Jim and his antagonist, pirate Long John Silver, in search of Captain Flint's treasure in the Hispaniola, in the ship named Hispaniola, to the Skeleton Island, which is the Treasure Island. Yeah, of course. Treasure Island, it is absolute pirate classic published in 1883, written in faultless English prose. It was serialized in a children's magazine. Actually, it took the form of map that Stevenson drew for the amusement of his stepson, Lloyd Osborne. And later on, he serialized this in a children's magazine named Young Folks. And you have so many titles for this serial. Okay, one is The Sea Cook, and various other titles are The Treasure Island or Mutiny of the Hispaniola. This Young Folks, it is a boys' magazine, and this series had been published in the Young Folks from October 1881 till 1882. And it had promoted reading amongst children. Of course, Stevenson's father's contribution was also there. He was also interested in the story that his son had created for his stepson. The contents of Billy Bones' trunk and Jim Hawkins in the apple barrel, they were the suggestions opted by Stevenson's father. Okay, and this story follows the format of the standard boys' adventure novel, and it had influenced the popular perception of pirates. The book has been published in many editions in many languages and in many countries. And of course, we can proudly call that to be the forerunner of today's various adventure novels or movies, especially the Pirates of the Caribbean and so on. Okay, and it has been adapted to the cinema in 1920, 1934, 1950, and even in 2012, and to the theater or even in the video game. Yes, now coming to the summary of the story, I think you people would have been reading the story, or at least you would have heard. If not, you can listen it now. Okay, the story is about a young boy. So it was written as an adventure story for the boys. A story of pirates and treasure. A pirate walks into the inn owned by the father of Jim Hawkins. And this pirate's name is Billy Bone, and the inn's name is the Admiral Benbow. The pirates, of course, that pirate Billy Bone, he has a map to a treasure on an island in a chest. He is a gravely old man who dies of a stroke after getting a notice that the pirates, that is, especially we call that notice as a black spot. Okay, and he gets that notice, and the pirates he had been running from had found him. So Jim finds a map and shares it with the doctor, Livesey and Trelawney, Squire Trelawney, who were the residents of his home place. They decide to get a ship, and especially Squire Trelawney, he took the charge of making the crew, preparing the crew. Okay, they decide to get a ship and crew to find the treasure. But the sailor they hire is Long John Silver, who later they found him to be one among the pirates. He has a 200-year-old parrot named Captain Flint, in memory of the previous captain for whom he had been working for a very long time. Okay, and of course, Captain Flint was a terrific name among the pirates. So he had named his parrot as Captain Flint. He has a 200-year-old parrot. He used to tell that that parrot is of 200 years old, and that sings shanties and sits on his shoulders. And Long John Silver, he now took the charge of bringing with him men who they discover later are also the pirates. That is, he was assigned with the duty to get the crew. When they arrive at the island, the pirates mutiny. Mutiny means they fight. They take over the ship and try to get the treasure for themselves, because that is the true nature of the pirates. They are inhumane. Okay, the pirates and the regular sailors, they go back and forth on who has the ship. And in the meanwhile, Jim comes across a crazy old man named Ben Gunn, who was marooned 3 years ago by Captain Flint when he buried his treasure. After Long John Silver acquired the map from Jim's friends, he and the pirates, they go for the treasure. They find that the treasure had already been removed by Ben Gunn years earlier. And of course, Jim's friends, they set a trap and kill all the pirates except Long John Silver. And these few men, they left, set sail for home, taking Silver with them. And before, this is famous lines of the pirates. 15 men on the dead man's chest, yo-ho-ho, and a bottle of rum. Okay, these lines, this is well known among the pirates. And so when these people, when they were to search for the treasure in that island, when they were digging the place, they heard this song. And the other pirates, except John Silver and Jim, the other pirates, they ran. They were really in a panic stage, because this song will be would have been sung by the ghosts of Captain Flint. And so other people, they just left the place and leaving these few men, and they set sail for home, taking Silver with them, and he jumped ship before they landed, taking a couple bags of gold with him. Jim and his friends, they used the gold they have, but none of them wanted to go back to the haunted island, even if there is any treasure left in that place. Okay, the main characters of this novel are the following: Jim Hawkins, Billy Bones, Black Dog, Squid Trelawney, Dr. Livesey, Captain Smollett, Long John Silver, Ben Gunn, Pew, Israel Hands, and Tom Redruth. You will find many other minor characters too. And Jim Hawkins, regarding Jim Hawkins, he was the first person narrator of almost the entire novel, and he was the son of an innkeeper near Bristol, England. Probably he would have been in his early teens, that is around 13 to 14 years of age. And he was that so eager and enthusiastic to go to the sea and hunt for the treasure. And he was, of course, the founder of the treasure map from Billy Bones. He likes the sea and dreams of going on a sailing adventure. Okay, he was that so bored of his life at the inn. Of course, he had the charge to take care of his parents, that is both his ailing father and mother. But when he was on adventure, he left them under the custody or under the guidance of getting the guidance of the doctor. He left them under the custody of some other person, some other boy. Okay, and of course, he is a modest narrator. He never boasts of the remarkable courage and heroism he consistently displays, and he was often impulsive and impetuous, but he exhibits increasing sensitivity and wisdom. Of course, he was one who, when they were outnumbered, when compared with the pirates, he was the one to take the strong decision to go against his own, without the knowledge of his own men. He went and got hold of the greatest possession, that is the ship Hispaniola. Okay, without revealing his plans to any of his men or to the pirates, he just went away from that place, from the island, and he made the attempt to get hold of the ship. And of course, he succeeded in his attempt, leaving Israel Hands and the other pirate who had been in guard at the ship to die. Okay, and Billy Bones, he is the old seaman residing at Jim's parents' inn, and he was an ex-mate of Captain Flint's ship, and he was a possessor of the map of Treasure Island. And he used to be a member of Silver's crew, which is surly and rude. And he hires Jim to be on the lookout for a one-legged man, and thus involving the young Jim in the pirate life. So far, he had never been introduced to the sea life or to the sea atmosphere, the life in the ship. But because of this first step of Billy Bones, he was dragged into the plot of Treasure Island. And Billy's sea chest and map, they set the whole adventure in motion. People called Billy Bones a true sea dog and real old salt. And his gruff refusal to pay the hotel bills, they symbolize the pirates' general opposition to law, order, and civilization. Billy's illness and his fondness for rum symbolizes the weak and the self-destructive lifestyle of the pirates. Another character, Black Dog. Of course, he is another pirate and an enemy of Billy. He pays an unexpected visit to the inn. He threatens Billy. And he was the one to give Billy the black spot. Billy attacks Black Dog, who flees but remains a herald of the upcoming violence in the novel. And this name, Black Dog, it symbolizes both the dark and the bestial sides of the piracy. Squire John Trelawney. He is a local Bristol nobleman, a skilled marksman, associated with the civic authority and social power. Of course, he arranges the voyage to the island to find the treasure. As soon as he saw the map which had been brought by Jim, he immediately called out Dr. Livesey. You are the ship's doctor, and Jim, you will be the cabin boy. Immediately, he was so involved, and he found the map to be a true one, and so that only he got that involvement. Of course, he is a naive character, and he hires almost the entire crew on Long John Silver's advice. The pirates trick him into hiring them as his crew for the voyage for this treasure hunt, and his name suggests both trees and lawn. The next important character, Dr. Livesey. The neat, bright doctor with his powder white as snow and his bright black eyes and pleasant manners. This is how the doctor had been explained in the text. Of course, he is a local doctor and later became the ship's doctor. During his voyage, he just placed some responsible doctor to take care of his clinic and his patients, and then left. He is a so responsible person. Got it? And he was, of course, a wise and practical person. Jim respects the doctor, but he never drew any inspiration from him. Of course, under the guidance, he had been guided properly by this doctor. He exhibits common sense and rational thought while on the island. Fair-minded person, magnanimously he is agreeing to treat the pirates. Okay, he when the pirates were wounded because of the mutiny, he just treated them as his own patients, and he deliberately avoided any discrimination between the pirates and the other people. Okay, he treated them that so magnanimously, and agreeing to treat the pirates with just as much care as his own wounded men. And Lucy, that this name of him suggests or represents the steady, modest virtues of everyday life rather than fantasy, dream, or adventure. Okay. Captain Smollett, a sharp-looking man who seemed angry with everything on board. The captain of the voyage to Treasure Island, of the ship Hispaniola to Treasure Island. He is savvy and is rightly suspicious of the crew Trelawney has hired. From the beginning, he has that suspicion with him. He is, of course, a real professional and a good negotiator. A real professional means that is till these people they got to the island, he was that so professional with the pirates. He demanded the same respect from them. Okay, he taking his job seriously and displaying significant skill as a negotiator. Okay, and a good negotiator, he is a person when Long John Silver came to him in order to have the negotiation terms with a white flag towards the not towards the end, towards the middle of the story. You will find that he comes with a flag, with a white flag in his hand, in order to negotiate terms with these people. Of course, the pirates, they were 18 in number, whereas these people, they were just 7. So they are more experienced rather than these minor characters, that is minor people who are there in the ship. But Smollett, he had that upper hand to suppress them. Like Lucy, Smollett too is competent and reliable to be an inspirational figure. Of course, he strongly believes in rules, and when Jim never obeyed his orders, of course, he never liked that attitude of Jim. He openly declared to Jim that I hate, even though your actions outcome is a profitable one. I don't like your neglecting the order of us. Okay. The next character, Long John Silver. Of course, he was assigned the duty as a cook on the voyage to Treasure Island. And of course, he is the secret ringleader of the pirate band in the Hispaniola. His physical and emotional strength is impressive. Silver is deceitful and disloyal, greedy and visceral, and does not care about any human relation. Yet, he is always kind towards Jim and genuinely fond of the boy. And he used to tell Jim that he finds a replica of himself at that age. He finds that he had been the same person like Jim in the attitude as well as in the physical appearance. He just, you can even call Jim as a reminder of his childhood days. And of course, he has a powerful mixture of charisma and self-destructiveness, individualism and recklessness. Ben Gunn, a former pirate, marooned on Treasure Island. Flint's pirate crew, they left Ben Gunn on the island for 3 years. Okay, his appearance, because of the 3 years leading a lonely life. Of course, because of the corona, we are unable to lead a normal life. We are getting maddened because of this disruption in the normalcy. Imagine how Ben Gunn would have suffered as a lonely man in the skeleton island. Of course, Ben's solitude has left him somewhat disarranged, and so he has the appearance of a wild man. He represents a degradation of the human spirit. Yet, his experience has left him morally superior to the pirates. He is the only character to be reformed as he shifts sides from the pirates to the good men, willingly helping Jim and Lucy. Okay? And Ben's uncanny imitations of the dead pirate Flint's voice suggest that he is a kind of ghost of a pirate, which made the other pirates to flee or to get frightened because of the imitation, because of the sound exhibited by Ben Gunn in the tone of Captain Flint. But here you have to understand that even this uncanny imitation of Ben Gunn had frightened the other pirates. Silver, he was just wondering who it might be, and he exactly got hold of Ben Gunn. Okay, he easily identified Ben Gunn. It must be Ben Gunn who had been marooned on this island. The other character, Pew, an old blind beggar and a pirate. Of course, Pew presents Billy with the black spot. Billy dies soon after Pew's visit, and Pew then dies in a carriage accident. Okay, he was considered as an angel of death, foreshadowing the many pirate deaths in the novel. And Israel Hans, the coxswain on the ship. Coxswain, I think you will be knowing that, a sailor who steers the ship, a former gunner on his earlier pirate voyages, and he acts as one of the gods on the ship when the pirates are ashore. Okay, but he gets drunk, kills the other god, and lies in a drunken stupor while the ship drifts aimlessly. Hence, he symbolizes the reckless behavior of all the pirates. The next character, Tom Redruth, one of Jim's companions on the ship, and of course, he had been killed by the pirate gunfire and buried with great ceremony on the island. And this event had illustrated that the good men's respect for the dead. Captain Flint, okay, he was the bloodthirstiest buccaneer that sailed, and Blackbird was a child to Flint. And now, so far we have completed with the characters. Now, I want you people to know about the background study. We need to know uh, some more facts about this treasure island. Okay, and with that, there is a yeah, piracy was once illegal. Do you accept that? Yes, of course. Even in our country, it had been considered illegal during the period of the kings. That is Chola, Pallavas, and all such kings. Okay, and during wartime, the government hired sea captains to attack enemy ships. And these privateers, they got to keep the cargo of the captured ships, a profitable business during war and a hard habit to break when war was over. And among the most well-known pirates were these people: Thomas Tew, Captain William Kidd, Blackbird, Sir Henry Morgan. Stevenson, he does not provide the exact location of his treasure island, but it was probably in the Gulf of Mexico or in the Caribbean Sea. Because Billy Bones, the old sailor at the Admiral Benbow, tells Jim dreadful stories about the Dry Tortugas. Dry Tortugas, it is a place, the Dry Tortugas are a small group of islands located in the Gulf of Mexico at the end of the Florida Keys of the United States, about 67 miles west of Key West and 37 miles west of Marquesas Key. Okay, this dry, usually that island possessed more water resources, but you will find a scarcity of fresh water, and so it is termed as dry. Tortugas is none other than turtles. After leaving the treasure island, the Hispaniola heads for the nearest port in Spanish America. These are the two incidents, two phrases that indicate the location of the island might be in the Gulf of Mexico or on the okay. And of course, Treasure Island is told entirely in the first person, but the narrator is not always the same person. Jim Hawkins narrates the first 15 chapters. Dr. Lucy takes over for 3 chapters, 16 through 18. Jim returns as the narrator from chapter 19 till the end of the book. You will find 6 sections of this text, okay, with the 6 parts. The part 1 with Old Buccaneer, part 2 the sea cook, part 3 My Shore Adventure, part 4 the Stockade, part 5 My Sea Adventure, and part 6 Captain Silver, how he became captain and all. Okay, and so you have 6 sections of this, and of course the Treasure Island has been criticized for this inconsistent point of view. That is, some chapters have been narrated by Jim. In between, you will find 3 chapters by Dr. Livesey, and the remaining again taken over by Jim. Okay, that is actually the possible explanations. This switch that is very well known as quick switch. Why it is called the quick switch? Because giving the narrative to Dr. Livesey allows Stevenson to keep the first person point of view when Jim is absent from the ship. Okay. The first chapters, they appeared in a magazine before the latter chapters were written, and the author may not have realized that he would have problems telling the story through one narrator. These were the assumptions. Dr. Livesey's penchant for punishing others, there is another perception, including Jim, becomes particularly clear in the novel's narrative structure. Okay, this narrative structure, which consists of a sole brief switch in the narrators, is best termed as the quick switch. Of course, the critics of Stevenson's adventure story have struggled to account for the quick switch, and many of them just ignore the switch as if it had never happened. Okay, by carefully considering the quick switch, a place where the doctor's adult voice suddenly intrudes upon and replaces Jim's child voice, this discussion, it challenges the critics' commonly held assumptions about Jim's unassailable power on the island and mastery in the narration. And of course, this quick switch itself not only manifests the dramatic, stylistic and moral contrast between Jim and Dr. Livesey, but also functions as one of a series of punishments that the adult doctor inflicts on the child Jim for disobeying him. Is it so? Let us find out. That is, as a switch was a rod used for inflicting punishment on wayward children in the 19th century schools, the quick switch points out to how narratives can also be used as punishments. Okay, so this is how yes, change of the punishment being executed in the novel, and this is a mind map how each are connected with each other, one another. And Jim Hawkins, the protagonist of the text, how he had been indulged in this act with the other people, and the other two, Pew and Billy Bones, they are the very major minor characters. Got it? Yeah. You have this Bildungsroman. What is meant by this Bildungsroman? It is, of course, the favorite genre of the Victorian literature. What is it? It is, of course, a German word which means novel of education or novel of formation. The genre of literature that focuses on the psychological, emotional, and moral growth of the protagonist from youth to adulthood, or else from young adult to the adulthood. Got it? Traditionally, this ends on a positive note through its action may be tempered by resignation and nostalgia. Okay, but in 20th century and beyond, this Bildungsroman more often ends in resignation and death. If simply put, it is coming of age story. What are the conventions, that is the symbols of Bildungsroman? Identifications, you can call it anyway. Protagonist is forced away from home on a journey. He undergoes psychological and moral growth, and the goal of the protagonist must be of maturity with responsibility, self-discovery, conflict with the society. Okay, themes of grand struggle, how Jim had been fighting for his survival and for his friends and for his team members. And conflict with the society, how he had been fighting the pirates. The pirates need to be banished. Piracy need to be banished along with the pirates. And of course, he was a human in first, and later on, he gradually took the responsibility, and the situation dragged him to become a responsible person. Yeah, this, of course, I wanted to share with you people some interesting facts about this author. We have been mispronouncing his middle name all the time, Robert Louis Stevenson, or RLS. He was born as Robert Louis Balfour Stevenson in 1850. He later changed Lewis to Louis, but continued to pronounce it Lewis. He also dropped the Balfour. Okay, I think it must be his mother's familial name, Balfour, middle name. And although he would later use it as a surname for David Balfour, the protagonist of Stevenson's another novel, Kidnapped, which was published in 1886. And of course, he was something of a literary superstar. Why? Stevenson sometimes bemoaned the sensationalist way in which his publishers promoted his work to the public. Okay. His 1884 Christmas story, The Body Snatcher, it had been advertised by 6 men who had been paid to roam around the streets wearing huge coffin-shaped sandwich boards and plaster skulls. Of course, these figures cast such a stir among the public of London that the police were called in to suppress the nuisance. And of course, this is a great power of advertising. So we don't find this sort of advertising not in 2020 or in the 20th, in the millennium. Even before, we had this sort of ads. Okay, his first novel, Treasure Island, even helped to inspire another of great Victorian adventure novels of the 1880s, because Treasure Island would also invent many of the classic tropes we associate with the pirates. And a very interesting fact, we never like to share our birthday with anybody until and unless if it comes with a renowned person, we will just some people do have that tendency. Okay, and especially when it falls on a very auspicious day or very on a festival day, we regret. That is what happened with this 12-year-old Ade. While Stevenson was living in the South Seas, that is Samoa, where he would die in 1894, he discovered that the 12-year-old daughter of Henry Clay Ade, the US Commissioner to Samoa, had her birthday on Christmas Day. She disliked this because all her friends had a birthday and a Christmas Day, whereas she could not enjoy these 2 days because both these, her birthday falls on the Christmas Day, so she will be getting only one present for the whole year. Okay, so she was regretting for being born on that Christmas Day. Stevenson, he nobly signed away all rights to his birthday to this girl as a letter of 1891 makes it clear, I have transferred and do hereby transfer to the said A.H. Ade all and whole of my rights and privileges in the 13th day of November formerly my birthday, now hereby and henceforth the birthday of the said AHA, to have, hold, exercise, and enjoy the same in the customary manner by the sporting of fine raiment, eating of rich meats, and receipt of gifts, compliments, and copies of verse, according to the manner of ancestors. What a great person he is, isn't it? Yes. Now, the fourth interesting fact is, according to his stepson, that is Lloyd Osborne, he destroyed the first draft of Jekyll and Hyde and rewrote them in 6 weeks' time. Actually, the idea for this story, Dr. Jekyll, the strange story of strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which had been published in 1886. The concept of this story came to Stevenson in a dream when he was sleeping. His wife criticized the initial manuscript. He had written nearly for 40,000 letters in 3 days of time. But as his wife, that is Fanny Osborne, criticized the initial manuscript, he suggested that Stevenson burnt the manuscript following this adverse verdict from his beloved wife, and a suggestion that he had missed the allegory of the story he was writing. That is, missed the allegory means each and every character have to speak of some or the other human, either the human tendency or the human nature. Got it? Emotion, anger, fear, anything. It might be related with anything. Okay, that is missing. That is what her comment was about this work. Okay, however, yes, however, we must be wary of taking this story at face value, since it has become part of the mythology surrounding the creation of the novel and was told, at any rate, by Stevenson's stepson. Of course, Stevenson, he rewrote the tale after that, again very rapidly, and soon after rewriting it in 6 weeks' time, he immediately sent for the publication, because he never wanted to get one more criticism and never wanted to do it again. And the fifth point, Oral Stevenson, he had a donkey called Modestine, okay, which he took with him on his travels. And of course, he published an account of his adventures hiking through France with a recalcitrant donkey. Recalcitrant means unobeying, okay? Donkey, titled Travels with a Donkey in Sevens in 1879. That is the first work of his travel writing. Okay, the first work ever published, and of course he had written as we had previously seen, that he initially started as a travel writer. This makes it one of Stevenson's earliest published works. Indeed, he began his book writing career as a travel writer, and his first book, published a year before Travels with a Donkey, was An Inland Voyage in 1878, about his journey canoeing through France and Belgium a couple of years earlier. And I wish you people need to have a knowledge about the storyboard. You can even try this way. Okay, so that only I have given you the sample storyboard. And of course, there is more treasure in books than in all the pirates' loot on Treasure Island, uttered by Walt Disney. Of course, when you see the movies and the adventure, the gaining fame of Harry Potter and all such movies, I used to wonder that Treasure Island was the first one of its own kind, to impart that interest of reading what comes next, that sort of excitement, the only the Treasure Island can give us. And you can watch those movies. You have all these theater trailers and 1934, 1950, and all these movies here. Yes, with us, hope the hunt is over. Thank you. Question and answer session.
That was a wonderful session, ma'am. Now we will go for the Q&A session. Now we are having the first question, ma'am. Why does Stevenson
Yes, ma'am.
make such an effort to show Long John Silver's positive traits?
Pardon, I am unable to get the second part of the question. Why did
Yes, ma'am.
Stevenson look for Long John Silver's?
Why does Stevenson make such an effort to show Long John Silver's positive traits?
Mhm. Yeah, of course, because Stevenson days, he never, even though he had gained the full attention of being an only child at his home, he had gained the full attention. By birth, he was very healthy, but due to some respiratory problems, he faced the health issues. And so he gained more attention, that he started to question himself when he was in the college days, and when he was just going ahead with it. He thought that this is the tendency of, he had that attitude of adventure in him, and that's what he had portrayed through this character of Jim and the pirates, that is Long John Silver. Of course, he wanted that Long John Silver, because of his help and because of the situations that occurred in the Treasure Island, he wanted to help. But pirates are always the pirates. Only very few have undergone the reformation, and one such person is Ben Gunn. Because of his lonely life, and you can call it a reconciliation of your own lifestyle. Okay, that's the thing. So that only he
Yes,
wanted
ma'am.
to support Long John Silver, a positive side for Long John
Right.
Silver. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. The next question.
Mm-hmm.
What are some symbols in Treasure Island?
What are some symbols?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I right? Okay. Symbols, of course, you can bring in anything. There is adventure story. There is the flag of the pirates, the skeleton island. The names, they symbolizes the, as I said to you before, Dr. Livesey's and the Scott Trelawney's and everybody's name, the black dog or Billy Bones, they become the symbols of their
Yes, ma'am.
character. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for answering all the questions, ma'am. Students, the link for the attendance has been posted in the chat box.
The session was the mind-blowing and a perfect one for our students. You have answered the questions of all our students. We raise our heart in gratitude and thank you, Chief Guest, for being with us today. Thank you, ma'am. Now I take the chance to thank the management, our principal and head of the Department of English for organizing such an event. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all, especially the management, the principal, and the faculty at BET, and my dear student friends, for patiently listening to this treasure hunt in Treasure Island. Thank you.